Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Hello and welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. Really happy to have you here today. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm really glad that you're here. If you struggle with food and weight, I totally get it. I struggled for years and I got help close to 30 years ago. And since that time, I've been working to help others heal as well, to get the kind of freedom that I've enjoyed. And so this podcast is especially devoted to you, the emotional eater. And I'm just really happy that you're here. We cover a lot of ground, all different kinds of topics that don't have to do with food and weight, because our problem isn't food and weight. Our problem is life on life's terms. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I have just gotten back from a trip to San Diego. I live in Los Angeles, and I just spent the past 5 days with some of the most inspirational, action-oriented, passionate, purpose-driven, intelligent, accomplished, funny and fun people that I've ever met. Every year, annually, I go to San Diego for this conference called Mindshare, and it's for people in the health industry who are really on the holistic side of things, the functional medicine side, and we're all really passionate about providing incredibly sound and progressive health advice and care to people who are struggling and people who don't want to go the regular route of medications and quick fixes and Band-Aids, who really want to heal at the deepest level. And so it just was amazing. I mean, we had all different kinds of doctors and endocrinologists and neurosurgeons and heart surgeons and acupuncturists and dietitians and amazing psychiatrists and therapists and coaches, and I mean, you name it. Everybody involved in holistic health was there, and it's such a beautiful time. And this time it's actually hosted by J.J. Virgin, who is really a maverick in the health industry. She's a multi-times New York Times bestseller, and she many years ago decided to gather together these health practitioners who are looking to make a difference, a real difference in the way we view health and healthcare. And she gathered these people together because even though a lot of us are in conflicting or perhaps competitive fields out there in the world, we're much stronger together. And so we gather together to talk about health and to talk about how to get our message out there to the world. So I feel very honored to be a part of this community. And it's also a great time to let our hair down and to have fun and to dance and to party. I'm not a partier. I don't drink or use drugs, but it's still so much fun and festive. And not that other people were using drugs, but certainly there were a lot of people drinking. I will not lie. But the bottom line is we're there to really let our hair down because we work so hard and we need a time and a space to get together and just really encourage each other to relax and have fun and laugh at some of our mistakes throughout the year and some of the ridiculous things that people throw at us. Sometimes if we have haters in the world, some of these people are amazing, amazingly accomplished authors and celebrities in the health field. And so, there are haters who like to pull successful people down. So we laugh about those kinds of things, just so we don't take ourselves too seriously and don't take what we do too seriously, because we really need some levity from time to time so that we don't get bogged down with stress or discouragement if things don't go right. So it's just a beautifully supportive time. And we get all dressed up on Saturday night. We have a gala, and it's, when do you get a chance to wear an evening gown or really get all gussied up? And there was an awards ceremony, and the night before that we had an 80s party. So we dressed up really silly 80s clothing, and that was just such a blast. So anyway, I think you're getting the idea here. It's just a lot of fun. But my point in sharing all this is that We all need community. We all need community in order to feel supported, in order to be able to go out into the world and do what we're guided to do what, our gifts are, present them to the world. And if we're on our own, doing it in a vacuum and on our own and without any support, it's very hard, and nobody can do it alone. And that is certainly true for the emotional eater path. If we are going to overcome emotional eating, we must have support. And I've never known of somebody who had serious issues with food. I've never heard of somebody overcoming it on their own. It's impossible. It's too big really of a monster. And so I certainly needed help, and I got the help I needed, and I still need help. So I get ongoing help from people who are healed and can help me understand myself better. And it's just an ongoing path of healing and self-improvement and self-reflection and self-love. So I encourage you to get hooked up with a community that can help you. And if you don't have such a thing, the Heal Your Hunger community could certainly be your home. And I highly recommend it. It's so fun, and it's so sweet and supportive. And you can learn more in the link below for sure. So anyway, a little bit about that. And I want to move on now to talk about something I learned this weekend. I was driving back in the heat. My AC wasn't working very well, and I was sweaty and just felt yucky. And the past day or so, 24 hours, has been, hard because I just got worn out and tired because our schedule was so packed with so many talks and, different events and things that we were doing and networking and being super extroverted, which I'm not really an extrovert. I'm about half introvert, half extrovert. So a lot of extroversion goes a long ways for me, or even a little goes a long ways. So when I had a lot, I got tired and it was hard to really have the time to restore. Although I did, I managed to always meditate throughout the week and make sure I got my meditation in and my self-care, and I did my walk, pray. So, the basics of my own self-care regimen and practices was definitely intact. Praise God. I need that self-care. I can't live without it. I would not have been able to show up for the people at this conference and really connect at a beautiful heart level were I not connected to my higher power and to myself and my divine spirit. So, all my self-care practices really support me in not overeating, but also in being the best I can be. So, nevertheless, in spite of all those practices and meditating twice a day and all that, I still got super worn down. I didn't sleep that well. I'm in a hotel room. I'm sharing a room with a friend. And, if she gets up, I get up, and vice versa. So it was tiring. And by the end of the conference, I felt exhausted. I felt like last night, what was last night? Last night was Sunday night. Well, I was exhausted and I felt like I was dead. I kept saying to my roommate, I think I'm dead. So anyway, my point in sharing this is that when I'm down like that and tired and just not down emotionally, I was quite excited emotionally, but when I'm worn down, it's really easy to want extra food. And that is a trap for emotional eaters. And so that's really my cautionary tale here is, throughout the conference, because it's a health conference, they had all kinds of really healthy goodies available, bars and shakes. They're really super healthy. And so I actually had some shake in the morning. It's my favorite kind of protein powder with no sugar. And so it's super healthy. But that was fine. That was part of my breakfast. But there are other things like bars and little candies and great food. The food was as healthy as you can absolutely get, but you can still overeat unhealthy foods. So I had to really watch it and realize that I don't need those quick, I don't need to grab for something that's not mine, even though it's healthy and somewhat sanctioned by these, these wonderful people in the health industry. They can handle it. I can't. They're not necessarily emotional eaters. and I am. So I had to really stick to what works for me, which is my 3 meals a day with nothing in between. And when I got tired, I drank some water, or I went back to my room and I meditated. I had to really take care of myself, but I had to be very conscious of taking care of myself, because it's so easy when you get tired to really let down your defenses. And there were times where I just wanted a quick bite. They also put candy bars, not candy bars, chocolate bars out on our conference tables. When we're sitting around the round tables, listening to the keynote speaker, there were chocolate bars that are super healthy with very low sugar, but they're chocolate bars still, and they do have sugar in them. And people munch on these things, and they can, because they're not me. They don't have the problem I have. And I can't go there. First of all, a couple squares of chocolate, not very exciting for me. I will eat the whole bar. If I eat one square of chocolate, I'm eating every square of chocolate. So a little bit of chocolate doesn't work for me. And I don't want to try to pretend it does by seeing if I can get away with it and just stop and, have self-discipline. And, that's not going to work for me. Even if I manage to pull it off, I'm not very happy about it. And I'm completely obsessed because I want more. And anytime there's an open candy bar or chocolate bar or anything, if I were to have a little bite, I am not happy till I eat the whole thing. So that's how I roll. So I had to say no to all of it. And I have to say that as the conference wore on, my defenses and ability to say no was much, harder. I mean, it was really hard. My defenses were down, and I just thought, wow, I'm so tired. Boy, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? And maybe it won't hurt me. I mean, it doesn't hurt all the rest of these people. And I do that comparing thing, right? And, I had to just keep reminding myself, what, I'm tired. And I had to clue into the fact that I'm tired. I'm going on lack of sleep. I don't have my usual routine. I don't have as much water as I like to drink with me. And I'm wiped out from all the extroversion and connecting with people and really putting myself out there, a lot of energy going out. So with all that combined, it seems like a good idea to nibble on something. And yet I cannot afford to do that, because there's no such thing as one for me. That just one theory, I'll just have one. Not for me. Doesn't happen that way. And so none is better than some for me. And so I had to say no thank you to these things. And I just noticed how hard it was to do that as the week went on. And so I'm sharing that with you because you might have heard the concept of H.A.L.T. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. H.A.L.T. being an acronym for those things: hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Well, that's real. That is real. And we have to recognize when we're tapped out, when we're super tired, because that's when we are vulnerable to overeating. And so much of the time as emotional eaters, we don't clue into this. We just, push right through any of feelings of being tired, and we're driven and we want to get the job done and we want to do more and more and more and get more and more approval and meet our deadline, and we barrel through. Well, that has consequences. That has real consequences. And so I have to be forever vigilant about my stress level and my sense of peace. And if I'm not, I will get so tired and stressed out that chocolate seems like a good idea and seems legal for some reason. Well, the doctors are eating it. Well, that doesn't fly for me. Doctors can knock themselves out. I can't, because I don't have any self-control when it comes to certain foods, certainly sugar and most starches and heavy foods like that. So processed foods, all that stuff. There's no such thing as just one for me. But if I'm not, taking care of my stress level, if I'm not acknowledging where I'm at emotionally and mentally, spiritually, physically, I will be caught off guard. And so I just implore you to be really vigilant as well, and to really acknowledge when you're tired and when you've been through a lot. Perhaps it's a death, perhaps you've moved, perhaps you have to give a speech, which is one of the top most feared things in the world for human beings. Perhaps you're moving and or changing jobs. You've got a major upset in your life, or something that's taxing your body, like a conference that goes on for 4 or 5 days. Anything that's taxing you mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, it has to be acknowledged and honored. Okay, you have to honor that, and you have to be sure that you get what you need, so that you aren't caught in a trap of fueling yourself with the wrong foods simply because you didn't plan ahead and you didn't stop to acknowledge what was going on for you. So it really helped me to stop. When I was craving, some of that chocolate as a pick-me-up, I had to say, why is that having draw for me? What's pulling me toward that? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm completely drained. My adrenals are probably sapped and I'm just exhausted. And that's why that looks like a good idea. Is it really a good idea? No, because I won't stop. And then, I don't even know the meaning of exhausted until I have a binge on chocolate. That's just crazy making. So I have to just honor myself and my body and say, you know what, you're tired. Just like you would a little kid. I mean, when we're parents, with our little children, we take an account that they're tired. My sister is a mom of twin girls, and she is, she doesn't, she was going to be getting together for Labor Day weekend with the family, and it's a 4-hour drive up to a very, very northern part of Maine, or it's up there. Maybe it's not the tippy top of Maine, but it's actually quite a bit close to the border of Canada. But anyway, she said, I can't do it because my girls start school, the day after Labor Day, and I don't want them to be tired. Like, I can't have them on the road with a 4-hour drive the day before, drive home the day before they start school. They'll be nuts, and they won't enjoy their first day of school. And so as parents, we always have to address, their fatigue level. We have to acknowledge where they're at and take that into account, and really scale back or make different arrangements just so they don't end up in that trap of getting exhausted. Well, that's really good that we do that for them, but why don't we do it for us? Why do we push and push and push and never say, you know what, I've had a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a long weekend. It's or I know I can't do that particular commitment because it will make me too tired, and I'll be, headed back to work the very next day, and I don't want to be tired at work. So this kind of self-care and this forethought as to what our fatigue level will be and how we can manage our schedule better so we don't end up in that exhausted phase is so, so important. And it's just because we've used food for so long to prop us up, we aren't accustomed to thinking this way. We do it for our kids, but we aren't accustomed to thinking of our own stress level and making, accommodations so that we don't end up caught off guard and exhausted and reaching for the food before we even know what's happened. So I really hope that you will take that into consideration and start being more deliberate about your own self-care, more deliberate about the things you take on, the projects that you take on, the things that you say yes to, and that you acknowledge that you can't do it all. You're not Superwoman or Superman. You cannot do it all. You've got to really pull back. You've got to adjust. You've got to say no once in a while. I know that's our favorite thing to avoid saying. It's our least favorite thing to say is no. Because it brings up uncomfortable feelings. But when we set boundaries on our time and our attention level and our stress level, it's really important because that way we can have a fighting chance when it comes to food. If we go and push and expect to have any kind of ability to say no to the ooey gooey chewy foods that have driven us out before, we've got another thing coming. So I hope this is helpful. It's just firsthand experience for me. I've been in this game for a long time. For 29 years, I've been, working on being free from emotional eating and have primarily been free. And I have to tell you that even to this day, just from this weekend, I'm learning again how important it is that I acknowledge my stress level, and I am careful at those times of temptation when I am overwhelmed with stress and tiredness or whatever the case may be, sick, it might be not feeling well or whatever, and I take extra precautions to protect myself and to talk myself, through something by acknowledging how I'm feeling and what's going on for me, so I don't end up caught off guard, putting things in my mouth that don't belong there, and add to or contribute to a cascading effect of overeating, binging, feeling like crap, and hating myself. So that's what it takes. It takes checking in, tuning in, and being our own best advocate, being our own parent, if you will, so that we can be treated with respect. We can demand respect from others, and most of all, give respect to ourselves by not overdoing it and really recognizing our weak moments and how it correlates with our stress level and our physical level of fatigue. So that's it for me. I just love you. I hope that you take this message to heart and treat yourself with respect, because you absolutely deserve it. So thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed yet to the Heal Your Hunger show, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe. Make sure that you get this dropped into your box, if you will, or your iPhone every time it comes out, which is twice a week. And you don't have to listen right away, but it's there waiting for you, and you can see what the episode is and the topic. And I'd love for you to be a part of this show by tuning in all the time. And I will definitely have more tips for you. So thanks for tuning in. You can also watch this show at healyourhunger.com. But I love you and I appreciate you, and I really want the very best for you. So thanks so much. Take care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.